I drive my car up to the lake as if there's someone to awake. I haven't been to bed for days, I live in a twilight haze. And I set my heart to the setting sun, and I hope that no one else has done it. And the drinks are never far, open up the bar.
So everything you say will and can be helpful. Yeah, my editing skills basically deal with the front and the end, and then I upload it and stuff.
Okay.
Hey, welcome to our podcast, Shay. Now you are from CaliWoods, and you're on a little bit of a... Are you on a road trip? You're going to the Go Green Expo in Christchurch?
Yeah, so I drove over last night from Wanaka, where I live at the moment, and I've got Go Green Expo this weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I thought you were based in Auckland for some reason.
Yeah, I was there for about a year.
Yep.
But in my history with Auckland, I was actually born there.
Yeah.
And then when I was 17, I moved to Raglan.
I see.
Yeah, and then I wasn't really back other than to give birth to my little boy 2 years ago. So we went back for like a year to be around family, and then I complained about it too much, so we had to leave.
Right.
Yeah, it's not really big cities aren't really my place. I'm more kind of like small town nature.
Yeah,
that's kind of more my scene most of the time.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about CaliWoods. Like CaliWoods, how was it kind of born, thought of, and kind of conceived? And then, so you're from Wanaka. You do surfing. Mm-hmm. How did you get into surfing in Wanaka? Because there can't be that bigger waves on the lake.
No, there's not, definitely. Okay, so I'll start with CaliWoods to begin with, which was, it was about 7 years ago, and I'd travelled all around the world for about 5 years previous to that, and I guess I was coming home when I was about 27, 28, and I sort of, I had travelled to some of the most isolated parts of the world.
Cool.
On yachts. Yeah, it was really, really cool and an amazing experience, but I kind of came out of that with two things. The first was that I didn't want to work for anybody because I'd been bossed around on boats for about 5 years. And so, I was sort of like, don't want to work for anybody.
Close quarters. I was just like dreaming of a double bed. So I came out of yachting with that experience, but then also having seen firsthand just like the plastic pollution in the ocean, which was like quite a stark reality check, really. When you see that firsthand, you're like, holy crap, there's a Yoplait bottle from like the 70s in the middle of the Pacific Ocean where there's like no people. Wow. Is that all you have to say, Milton? That was your bottle.
It could have been.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, crazy.
So, seeing that firsthand, I guess in a way it sounds like a little bit of a cliched story, but I had always kind of had that environmental ethos, like right from the start of my life, with my dad just like, drumming in really basic stuff like recycling and turning off the lights, and we were always kind of in nature, and where I grew up at the time. Where I grew up in my childhood, even though it was in Auckland for the first 17 years of my life, it was relatively nature-filled and rural.
Oh, okay.
Cool. It wasn't kind of like a city upbringing, So I was always at the beach and the bush and going for walks and stuff like that. So I think that kind of just all culminated. And then I did a Bachelor of Science degree as well after school at Waikato University.
Oh, right.
So I studied oceanography and, hydrology and soil and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So that kind of set you on your trajectory?
Yeah.
And then the boat thing came later?
Yeah, like the travel.
Yeah,
so it was school, university, and living in Raglan. And I guess like from that point on, like Raglan was really my base. And,
it's been a powerful life theme. I'm just getting a bit of weird echo in my headphones.
You always get a weird echo. Sorry, Milton. I can't do anything about it.
Oh, all good. But so it's been a powerful life theme, Shay, the nature and being connected to nature.
Definitely. I think if you protect the things you love, right? So if you're connected to the ocean and you're connected to the forest and all of those things, then you kind of are just more predisposition to want to protect that thing. Yeah. So it's been I guess, bit of a life story up until then, but then I came home not wanting to work for anybody and thinking, okay, I'm going to start my own business. And I'd seen, that plastic pollution firsthand, and I kind of wanted to work towards problem solving that as well, and incorporate my time towards solving that problem, or helping to solve that problem at least.
That's really cool, because that's like you obviously didn't feel like, I'm only one person, what can I do? You had it the opposite.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in life you just do what you can do as an individual, right? And there's so many things that you can work on in your life, and so many things that you can choose to put your time and energy towards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like that was a big calling for me at the time. So I started with reusable straws under Market Gazebo, putting a gazebo up every Sunday, every weekend, and having a little stall, and reusable straws were my first product where I launched proper packaging. It all happened like quite organically.
Yes.
Which was really cool because I was kind of ahead of the trend. It was very fortuitous timing. I kind of had my product and packaging ready to go, and then everything kind of started with, the turtle video with having the plastic straw pulled out of its nose, and then, everybody started really kind of becoming a lot more aware of the things that we use on a day-to-day basis in that time.
Yeah.
So it was quite like a good platform for me to be able to, I guess, educate a lot of people and then get product into stores. And then, from there we've just grown into... We're now a certified B Corp. We've got like a much bigger team. It's not just me anymore.
No.
We have over 40 products, ranging from, we still have our reusable straws, but they're a very small part of the product offering now. In terms of volume, it's more kind of like stainless pegs and safety razors and baking mats and things for babies. We do reusable wet wipes and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I was looking at your safety razors. I think I might get one. They look really cool.
Oh, thanks, Milton. I'll drop you
real
off
stylish,
one after the
and just the
Go
idea.
Expo.
What's that?
I say I'll drop you off one after the Go Green Expo.
Okay, do that. You're throwing away all those plastic handles all the time. It'd be really good for me to stop doing that.
Yeah. It's been quite an interesting journey in sustainability. I think there was like so much talk and so much activation. And then COVID happened, and things almost just like, in some respects, went the other way, where people just, were throwing out millions of things every single day, masks, cups, bags, you name it. And it was kind of like that was sort of the focus, I guess, in society for quite some time. And now we're sort of reverting out of that, and there's still those systems in place where it's like, coming back to that single use. But I guess the topic now is so much broader because people are so much more aware. So it's like you can't keep talking about the cups and straws because it's like an old message that people are already so aware of. Yeah. So it's kind of activating, those changes in your life in little ways and in other areas and other things that we use day to day.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. There's sort of a bit of a fatigue in the general populace, but nevertheless, everyone kind of has to do their little bit. The suppliers, the retailers, and then the kind of consumers, and it all adds up. The government's kind of changing things as well, sort of slowly rolling out regulation. It's kind of watching a slow moving kind of clock.
Just got rid of the single-use plastic bags down the local supermarket, I noticed.
July that came in. For the produce.
For the produce.
Yeah. So
it's bit by bit, eh?
Yeah. How did you go about, were those, did you sort of look at products that were made of particular things? Like you just kind of, what were the, you were looking for things that were durable, that would last a long time, made out of good quality materials. Were there any particular things that you sort of tried to steer away from? Did you look for kind of timber products, or did you look for more metal kind of things, or?
Yeah, nothing in particular, to be honest, in terms of materials. It was just our focus is on creating more sustainable alternatives to single-use or plastic items.
Yeah.
So say, for example, with pegs that you use at home, that was our second product after reusable straws. So stainless pegs is what we kind of gravitated towards after reusable straws, and that just stops the plastic peg graveyard in your lawn, and they're guaranteed for 10 years. So you get them instead of the plastic ones, and then there's kind of like another thing. So I guess it wasn't really in terms of like a materials focus. It just had to kind of have that core durability or replacement kind of factor.
Yes, yeah, because there's a great quote by a guy called Thomas Sowell, and he said there's no such thing as solutions, only trade-offs. And I've noticed with Sammy Bags and sort of, starting off with an idea and then coming up with a product and using a material and then sort of realising all of the different trade-offs that happen when you're seeking for those alternatives and looking for, reusability over this. Are you familiar with the waste hierarchy? Yeah. I found that really helpful to kind of help keep me focused and stuff on, what's important, and obviously prevention and is right at the top there. And then I think it's reuse. I can never remember that well, actually. But it's and obviously there's more and more. We had a guy on last week or the week before, G, who he looks at a lot of sustainability issues and packaging and things like that. And the question can sometimes is sort of is this, like, say, when we're talking about the PLA or the different packaging products, is this a step to somewhere else, or is it kind of being heralded as sort of a saviour, and this is the product that's going to be the next thing? I'm really interested in that, because and that's where sort of greenwashing can come in, and it's just like a massive issue that different people are kind of wrestling with, because I kind of do see the necessity for steps, like always taking steps in the right direction and kind of not stopping, sort of. Yeah.
You have to, I guess, from a perspective of, wanting to create change, I guess you have to, in a way, be conscious of the industry and systems behind everything. Because it's like those things do take time, and yes, regulations coming in, and I think there is quite a big corporate movement as well, which has kind of been quite a big benefit of all of this, where there's a lot more accountability, and whether it's kind of been corporatized. So I'm just like, I am a little bit kind of aware of like just how much impact that's having, or if it's just kind of this like stamp of approval of just like doing something good but without intention. So I do find kind of like that side of things quite interesting, where there's like a sustainability statement in their report on sustainability, but it's kind of just like box ticking sometimes, rather than like actually like inherent in purpose and inherent in their business model, which I find quite interesting. Like there's something that, because I think part of the fatigue that you were mentioning before is like, on the back of every bus and on every billboard, it's like, oh, look at this air conditioner, it's like the greenest thing ever, and like, look at this door handle, and people see it everywhere, so it's quite difficult for somebody who has, we're actually almost, in a way, it's quite interesting in our brand messaging, we're actually kind of like removing so much of the and we've been doing this for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Removing, eco-friendly, save the whales, kind of not quote unquote, but
the jargon.
Yeah, we're really kind of restructuring that so it feels more relevant to people. Just because when you see it everywhere, you just get over it.
Yeah. I think so. You're sort of demystifying it, and if you were having a relationship with a person, it would drive you crazy if they just sort of talked in those terms all the time and never really kind of got to the crux of the issue. So that's cool because
sorry. The customer-based benefits, it's how that's actually serving the person in terms of our messaging more than buying that for the sustainability purpose. And that's a post-COVID customer behaviour that's come out. It's been quite interesting. So, our purpose and our intention and our measurements for B Corp and for our impact are still the same, but we're just achieving those in, I guess, different ways and from our marketing perspective.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a little bit more of a business kind of detail, but.
Oh no! Well, it's all part of it, and it all goes to make the makeup of things. Because, like you say, we could be quite perfectly existing in a green, hardcore consumerist world, and it's still sort of what's changed. Okay, the products are a little bit different, but it's still buy, sell, and it's kind of well, are we kind of kidding ourselves? Let's pinch ourselves and just keep on checking in with ourselves and with each other and saying, right, what are we doing that's better than this time 12 months ago or whatever?
Yeah. It's quite interesting in the reusable kind of, the business model and the ethics and the core pillars of CaliWoods, where we have reusable, durable products that, like I said, with the pegs guaranteed for 10 years. So we're constantly finding new customers, constantly finding new products as well.
Yeah.
Because of that business cycle, it's okay, we've sold pegs to that person who could be a huge fan of what we do and everything we stand for, but they're not going to spend $20 with us every week like they might at a supermarket, for example. So it's quite an interesting perspective from, I guess it's a little bit of insider insights of how that business model actually works.
Yeah, totally. Well, designed obsolescence and the one my dad always tells me is, the potato peeler, which is when perhaps it first came out, not the potato, the sort of, the one with the double blade. He reckons that they made them brown, like brown handles, so there was a good chance that, you might lose them amongst all the potato scraps and just chuck them away. And
I think I actually had a brown one.
Did you?
Growing up, yeah.
So maybe there was... how much of it is intentional? How much of it is just kind of, I don't know, just sort of happens. But we do need to question those things, and we mustn't be afraid of kind of looking at ourselves in the mirror and looking at our businesses, because your business is real personal way. It's it's you in a way, and I've noticed that with Sammy Bags, it's real intense, and even with Pilgrim, the cafe, it's quite intense. I didn't realise that relationship between the business owner and the business and how it really does kind of reflect.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because it becomes a bit of a public-facing reflection of yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a balance of how much you put out there and how much you keep private as well. That became a bit of a balance for me in terms of with the baby range that we do.
Yeah.
That was because of my journey with Jasper, my son.
Yeah.
He's 2.5 now, but in that first little bit, they weren't the products for me to parent in the way that I wanted to, which was, organic, low tox, minimal, low waste, and I guess in a way quite alternative. So it was quite an interesting journey developing those products, because they literally were just born out of, my experience through birth.
Yeah, that's intense. The whole industry around babies and toddlers and stuff there's I don't know how many years, 50 years of inertia and energy and money, billions of dollars have been put into what we've got now, this throwaway culture and how we must do things. So pushing back against that is is pretty big.
Yeah, it's and it's an interesting time as well if you think about it from a holistic perspective, because people are kind of going through this experience, once, twice, maybe 3, 4 times, and they kind of knew it at once. And
that's right.
Companies kind of know that, so it's actually
it's
quite a good business model where you've got new customers coming in all the time, and you can sell them that new pram or the new kind of thing. And it's it's a big thing for a lot of families to go through, where they I think we've lost a bit of connection to, well, I won't say a bit, I think we've lost a lot of connection to community and I guess like how we're actually meant to live organically, which is probably not in like a nuclear family with like a house and a fence and 2 adults and 2 children and going to work all the time and having to make time for everything. And it's quite a what would I say? I guess it's harder for people to tap into something outside the box potentially during parenthood, because you're in a scary potentially like some people are total naturals, but you're in a new experience, let's put it that way, and then asking them to step outside the societal norms is like it's a pretty big thing.
No, you're dead right.
So it's like, okay, you're going through this huge life shift, and it's like, and we've been conditioned to, let's use nappies as an example. Convenience
and just...
we've been conditioned, like, okay, cool, there's like a kid in a diaper. Like, we actually hardly used... My little boy, we did a thing called EC, which is elimination communication, right? So this is... So many people around the world do it. Like before we had nappies, what did we do? We did this. But we've lost this knowledge. So... I stumbled across it because I was like, okay, I don't want to use disposables, like it's just not an option. So I was like delving into the research around reusables, what brand to use, blah blah blah, how they actually even work. It's quite a daunting experience. But and then in those online forums and like threads about reusable nappies, I found comments like try EC, and I was like, it came up a few times, like enough for me to go, all right, what is this thing? And so I delved into it, and I was like, I don't think this is going to work, but I'm going to try it. And it's when you potty your baby from birth. So you communicate with them, they communicate with you. It's a reciprocal communication around when they need to go to the toilet. And I guess maybe you'd say theory behind it is that they are born with an innate sense of hygiene. So they're born to keep clean, otherwise they can get sick. So they will be born with an innate communication right from birth to tell you, hey, I'm hungry, I'm tired, or I need to go to the toilet. Those are pretty much the 3 things that they can communicate very clearly that we can understand. There's a plethora of other things, but coming into that and going, okay, cool, we're actually going to do this thing that's like really different. I had no knowledge of it from my family whatsoever. I had to like scour the internet and go down deep rabbit holes of like websites that just looked really crappy and stuff, and I was like, okay, cool, like if this works, like great, but I have no expectation, and it did, and I was just like, how is this not a thing?
It's kind of like rediscovering magic or something, Shay, because it's crazy the extent that the corporation, like the power that they the real estate they have in our minds, right? That part of the budget that they have is also purchasing that in whole kind of communities and stuff.
And you don't even question it. 3 generations later. So it wouldn't have happened for my parents. Potentially my grandparents' generation might have used a bit of it. But the thing is once disposables came on to the market, what happened was before that, reusable nappies were a pain in the ass. They leaked, you had to bloody wash them all the time. Like, you wanted your kid out of those pronto. You're like, okay, 1-year-old, like, buddy, you're walking, like, you out. Like, I'm not washing those anymore. So, you know, there was a faster turnover. Come into the disposable nappy era, you got kids in nappies now till 5. And it's like, that's a very profitable business model. Why would you be communicating and talking about something that's inherent in our genetics and our babies know how to do? And there's, you know, peer-reviewed studies on it can be a colic reducing. You've got like a baby that cries a lot. Like, it could just be because they're in a nappy pooing lying down on their bed. Like, that's not an easy way to poo. Like, if you guys laid down on your bed and tried to do a poo, like, it's not going to be very nice. And you got to think of it in that way. You're like, okay, cool. So I guess if anybody's listening and this message is relevant, like, just hold, you know, even if you're still using nappies, the best thing that you can do is, like, put your hands under the baby's hamstrings and, like, have their back to your stomach and chest, and then, like, lift their legs up so that they're actually having a full elimination. And that's the hold that you do when you're holding them over the toilet or the potty or whatever. So we only changed 40 to 50 pooey nappies in Jasper's whole life.
Wow.
And otherwise he just went on the toilet. He was out of daytime nappies at 1 and no daytime nappies from 1.5, no nighttime nappies from 1.5. And that is possible. You know, you just have to, it's, you know, then you get the comments online like, oh, lucky you have time to do it, and like, who has time for this? And I'm like, I run 2 businesses and I have a baby, and it's just what you prioritise.
Totally. Yeah.
You know, it's not a privilege, it's what you prioritise as your lifestyle.
Yes.
So,
no, you're right.
In this case, sometimes sustainability can be a privilege in a lot of senses, but this one definitely is a money saver and a time saver. So that argument's not valid. No. Anyway, a bit of a segue, but you guys
that's cool.
learned a little bit about.
Well, I've got 2 kids, and I sort of understand some of the issues involved in that, and you're right. There's this. Yeah, our society is it's changed, and the corporate power and control that exists over the general population is just massive, and it's really hard to break. And I think, even the green products and stuff, sometimes we can sort of, I don't know, we need to question them as well, as much as any other things. And like with Sammy bags, I'm flipping always questioning them. I'm always kind of going, is this right? We've got a new paper that we've just recently received, and because we're relying on a big corporate entity to create this fabric, and it's a wonderful product in certain uses, and now they've made it one that's biodegradable and stuff. So we're starting to invest time and energy into working out how we can use that.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's full on. How was getting the B Corp thing? Was that how did that kind of roll out? I've seen it popping up around the place more and more. Is it difficult? Was it a cool experience?
Yeah, it was.
Milton, what are you doing?
What? I'm just listening in. It's a little bit hard without the microphone.
Oh yeah, sorry. I think the problem is because your your headphones suddenly connects to the iPad, and I think my iPad just takes it over. Yeah, sorry. Just shout at Milton.
B Corp certification. It was for anyone intending to do that for their business. I would say plan in advance. Go through the application as if you're applying, and then potentially, like, this is what we did. We went through the application and then we actually applied 1.5 years later. Oh yeah, yeah. Because what we realised is we were doing all these great things, but we weren't documenting and didn't have like anything to back it up.
Okay.
So it's actually the documentation and setting up the systems. Right. Well, not so much the documentation, but it's just like setting up the evidence that you actually are doing the things that you're claiming to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like our process was relatively straightforward. Like, it was quite a bit of work, and then but like once we have it set up, like we've got it like kind of on clockwork now. Every quarter, every year, we sort of like tally up everything and we kind of know where we stand. It's quite a cool benchmark for us. Yeah. So we do like the amount of items diverted, and so it's like, say for example you buy, like if Milton had his razor that he was looking at, and it's like he gets the razor and then we make an assumption, and it's a very kind of conservative assumption around waste diversion.
Cool.
So we say Milton's razor that he now has will save him 10 plastic razors. In reality,
like over a year, or just you mean
lifetime,
and it's going to save me probably a wee bit of money as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm just buying the razors and those, it's expensive buying those plastic things all the time.
Those cartridges are expensive.
So you've got like a lifetime metal handle.
Yeah, so it's metal handle, and then you just put like an old school safety razor blade on top. So the blades are so much more cost effective, and you can recycle them.
Yeah, I saw that you can send them back to you guys.
Yeah, we take them back. So it's just a single material, whereas it's like when you get those disposable razors, they've got like the blade, the plastic, the like weird gel pad that you don't know what's in there, and then it's like that's mixed material, so very hard to dispose of.
There's aloe vera in there.
Oh yeah, whoops. But yeah, it's kind of yeah. So the conservative estimate is like that your razor will save over its lifetime 10 razors, and that kind of accounts for you potentially saving 200 razors and then somebody else buying it and then only using it 4 times because then they lose it. So it's just kind of us doing a very conservative,
it seems very conservative,
super
10.
conservative like average, and that's for each product. And then say we sell 1,000 razors, and then we go, okay, cool, there's our waste diversion of 10,000 units of plastic razors. So that's just like a theoretical example with theoretical numbers, but just to give you a really basic idea. So we aim to divert, millions of pieces of plastic every year,
ultimately,
and which is like directly correlated to our sales. And then on our education side, our impact is measured in, I guess, like engagement with sustainability education. So we don't just talk about our razors and our pigs and our baking mats and all of the baby things and all of that sort of thing. We, try to engage people in the broader topic of kind of just like living more consciously, I guess. Yeah.
Cool. And did B Corp help you work out some of those things? Like do they come alongside you, or is it kind of like they're just sort of...
No, yeah. So you can kind of like have consulting through that B Corp process, and I know that there are people that do help with that in New Zealand. So yeah, you can kind of get help with that before you submit, but it's not really, I guess, like the check with B Corp is they'll just check that it is kind of like relevant to your business, your impact measurement. But I guess like the impact measurement is just one part. Like they look at production, they look at like, everything.
Yeah, cool.
So it's like very, very cool, and it's like very cool to have that. It's a lot of mahi, so it's cool to have that process standardised, and you know if you're buying from a B Corp that they've been through the ringer, so it's kind of like
Oh, that's cool. It reminds me of like with a little cafe like this, we do the food control plan, and you've got a folder and you've got temperatures that go in it of the fridges and of this and of that, and it's just all kind of compiled there. And it's sort of, once it's set up, once you kind of have your head around it, it's just a matter of, and it's like a record. So that's kind of that's what it reminds me of. Wow, cool, Shay. Wow. Yeah. So tell us about Go Green Expo. Is it running all weekend?
Yeah, so it's Saturday, Sunday here in Christchurch.
Yep.
They run other shows around the country too, but we just do the Auckland one. And now that I'm in Wanaka, I thought I'd drive.
So it's not in Christchurch?
Yeah, it is in Christchurch.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
But like, I just thought I'd drive over for it because I was like, it's
how was the drive?
Like,
there was
beautiful
snow in the passes.
So beautiful.
Must have been.
I love the drive from Wanaka to Christchurch. It's just like, except for the tiny last little bit, it's just like straight and like mountains, and like you go through like Tekapo, and you just sort of look at the creation of nature and our world, and I'm just going, it's like so stunning.
Yeah, it's totally beautiful. That's the very stuff we're trying not to stuff up,
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, right? Well, and our interface with it, and not polluting our lives and polluting our minds.
Yeah, the pollution of your mind. Like, I think that, to be honest, like for me, it really feels like the next sort of like step in focus, and I've already kind of taken. I mean, I've always been really wellness focused, but I'm not too sure if you guys feel that in the cafe too. I feel like, people are spending a lot more money on like wellness and
for sure,
experiences and connecting to their body and connecting with others. And I think we are in the age of Aquarius, so that does line up.
I certainly don't know what that means.
How long have we been in the age of Aquarius?
Just
for?
this year.
What? Just this year?
Like, we've just, like, officially.
So there's been a cusp since the last...
Yeah, like, it's been going on for, like, a long time. But, like,
so it's 25,000 years cycle.
Yeah, we've been transitioning into the age of Aquarius, which is the golden age.
No way, and we've just actually got in there this year.
I feel the changes.
That's momentous.
But, I mean, that could be... that could just be me, seeing things that I want to see, but...
If you're an astrological believer, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, 25,000 years, that is big. Hey, well, going back to that thing, do you think even some of that wellness has a consumerist kind of flavour about it, where people were just using money to purchase wellness, but not actually, kind of mentally kind of take it on? When you talked about
That's
it before...
That's a really good question.
Like, do you feel like... Yeah, like you said, the customers here that come in, there is more of an awareness, but is it still just something that they can buy and not potentially like change their mind on kind of thing? Sorry.
Yeah, I think we've been like very programmed to value things that we pay for. But I guess it's kind of, so it's like, say, there's that classic example, like you give something to somebody for free and they don't value it, right? So it's like, you do an online course, you pay $10 for it, it's like, are you going to finish it? Do an online course, pay $10,000 for it, are you going to finish it? Like, hell yes, you're going to finish it.
And you're literally going to value even if it was the same information, you're probably going to mentally frame it at a higher level.
Yeah, and is that just our conditioning? Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So breaking free of that conditioning, but I think like wellness is a pathway for that. So it's like you become more conscious of your body, your health. You become aware of things. You become aware of the things you're using. You become aware of the things you're putting inside your body. Then you become aware of like your connection to other people and the planet. And it's kind of like a little bit. It's like another little gateway into like I guess what you'd collectively call more conscious living. But I think the wellness space is super, super interesting in terms of behavioural changes like in society. And I do think it is part and parcel with sustainability, because generally speaking, and this is like a gross sweeping brush of generalisation, like if you're conscious of your health and your body to quite a like good level, you probably aren't going to be somebody who's like buying lots of disposable, consumable things in general.
Yeah, that's probably true. So, and you have your blog on CaliWoods.
Yeah.
And that is where you kind of communicate a lot of these ideas and sort of...
Yeah, so we have a blog that's linked to our website. So our website is an online store, and then we have, like a learn section.
Yeah.
We do a lot of work on like socials, just kind of explaining product and then explaining, sustainability concepts. I guess like in the years over like with CaliWoods, I've semi-taken a step back from that like really big public face. I think it's just like you've got to sort of learn where your boundaries are with that, and it's kind of being the face of the brand is important, and it's still it's still in there. But I also really like to be in real life, like a lot.
Exactly. Yeah.
So for me, being in real life is so important, and I just want to do real things. And I find that living through my phone, I have a very strict kind of like schedule with things now. I don't have personal social media. Well, I'm not active on personal social media. I only am on my screen generally when I'm working. We're so blessed to have this information at our fingertips. Like, that is just such a beautiful thing, and like how amazing is it that we can have all of this knowledge. It's just like having the boundary with it, and like not oversaturating and learning what somebody who you went to primary school with, what they had for lunch on Tuesday. Like, that's just too much information, I think, for the human brain. So.
Yeah, and there's just no way that can replace, like, however wonderful it is, it just can't replace real life. And even though like it is important and stuff, we can't make out that it's more than what it is. Like, because it does take away stuff as well.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's cool.
We've my sister and I actually just opened a sauna in Wanaka.
Oh yeah.
So we
what does that involve? Tell me, I'm not a sauna person. Do you do hot and cold, or?
Yeah, so it's right on the lake, out at the outlet, which is kind of like where the Clutha River and the lake kind of come together. It's like the most beautiful place. So it's getting people out of nature, connected to their bodies, extreme heat, extreme cold, building a resilience, and then connecting into yourself and other people. So it's quite interesting going through that process too, because that is a very it's kind of like my community level project. I'm like, CaliWoods is big, and in some cases it's like quite intangible because everybody's remote and we can do everything online, and it's like very much online. And then this business is like, the sauna Wanaka, very much in person, community,
That's
local.
Great. Yeah.
And it's quite cool to come back to that and just be like, oh, I've got my feet on the ground.
Yes.
Like, we're heating up the sauna, it's fire, It's like elements, we've got wind, we've got, beautiful days, we've got mountains, we've got rain, and whatever it is on the day. Not much rain in Wanaka, Central Otago, to be honest, but, it's really cool. And, like, seeing people come through, that we are seeing a lot more of that, where people are connecting into their bodies and connecting into each other.
Jumping into an ice bath or something's always going to do that, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned the heat. Is that like a
80 to 95 degrees Celsius?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like air temperature?
Yeah. So there's like a thermometer and like a humidity hygrometer, I think they're called, in there. Yeah. And you...
Could most sort of just average Joe blogs kind of rock up to your business and say, right, I'm up for it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump in an ice bath and I'm gonna go into extreme heat.
Yeah.
And because I wouldn't normally think that I would be able to do that. Is there any preparation that you need to do, or can you just kind of turn up on the day?
So this is like so left field for Kiwis. Like, we have no sauna culture. But if we're having this conversation in say Sweden or Finland and Scandinavia, people will just be like, oh yeah, like basic, like I've known this since I was a baby.
Yeah.
I was born in a sauna. So it's we do a guided process where we guide people through the whole. There's an instructor, and we say do the guided process first.
Oh, cool.
Where we guide people through 3 12 to 15 minute rounds at, usually we're at like 85 to 95 degrees. That's our target range, and it's hot, but it's good.
Crikey,
sounds good.
And what are the just briefly? What are the benefits? Like,
so it's basically when you go in there, you have a big. There's a lot of benefits, but I mean, we'll talk about the main ones.
Yeah.
Big cardio workout. So on that third round, when you're in there, you'll feel your heart going. The heat switches off your brain pretty much as you go into sweat mode. So really good relaxation. Like a lot of, we're actually also most of the time a silent sauna too. So people have to sit there, deal with the heat. It's a process. It's something that's hard. So you do a hard thing and you become more resilient. Your body, you get the dilation and constriction as you're going between the sauna, and then you come outside, you cool off, and then you go back in again, and then you come outside and cool off, and then you go back in one more time, and then you cool off. So your whole system is just it's gone through everything. Detoxification, great for like lymphatic flush, and then you also have this kind of sense of, cool, I just did something pretty hard out in nature with a bunch of people.
It's good for your immune system too, I think. It's massive benefits, right?
It's very cool. We're really stoked on it, and it's quite, like I said, quite cool for me to be able to like part-time work on something that's super tangible and in our community and like very public facing and
a beautiful location.
Yeah.
So beautiful. We're so lucky.
I mean, even that alone, just sitting out there and soaking in that scenery, it's got to change your biochemistry a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Getting your feet on the ground.
Yep.
Out of those shoes.
Yep. So the cold. Yep. Tell me about the cold side of things.
Yeah, so the cold we don't actually. Yeah, so we don't actually facilitate the cold too much, just because we can't do both activities. So
right.
So the lake is, a 1 minute, not even. It's like a 30-meter walk away. Cool. But people will go into the lake and cool down. Yeah. But I mean, I guess it's kind of like a similar thing. It's shock.
Yeah.
So you're putting your body into shock, and that's building resilience.
Yeah.
Brown fat activation is a big thing with cold immersion. So, you're actually, putting your body into a place of shock where you're getting this huge release of hormones and then this huge counteraction when you're thermoregulating and you're warming your body back up. It's a really interesting process.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I think a lot of illness is perhaps caused by just not moving.
Such sedentary
if you don't move,
lifestyle,
you just kind of get sick. Yeah. When you move, you perhaps don't get sick so much.
Yeah, it's kind of like the curse
because your body's dynamic.
Yeah.
Your systems are dynamic and alive.
Yeah. And we need to use our bodies, and we don't. Yeah, it's the curse of prosperity. We've made our lives just so comfortable and surrounded ourselves. Every environment has been tweaked and engineered and thought about a million times over.
And like, how lucky we're, that's such a beautiful thing. But then, it's also
the two extremes. There's never, that's what it's, where it's the trade-off thing. There's never anything that is just...
you brought that back in, the old Thomas Sowell, eh?
Yeah, well, it's just because I see it as a reality.
That's right.
Just too much of everything. I'm becoming one of those people which is, that everything in moderation thing, which used to drive me crazy as a teenager, but, man, I see a lot of truth in it. Just emotions, all sorts of things. You can apply it to pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's quite interesting seeing people come through the sauna experience, and some people are sauna pros, very accustomed and very as part of their weekly wellness routine. Muscle recovery, amazing. Like, if you're feeling sore and stuff, you go into the sauna, it's like you come out, it's gone. It's so good. It just, all of the blood going everywhere, and it's just like it releases everything, all of the tension and stuff. So it's quite interesting seeing people who you would never expect to like something like that.
What's an example?
Like, I'm a hot person. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. Like, I don't think I'm going to be. And it's amazing what you can actually do. Our scope and our capacity as humans is so large, so great.
And that will change people's minds as well. Because if you have a belief in there that's stopping you from doing something, you can look at that person and you go, no, I know you can do this. And once they've kind of broken that thing in their brain, I mean, there's so many examples of that with, abseiling and all those courses that they do with the kids, Outward Bound and stuff. But I mean, the cold and hot sounds similar.
Yeah, it's really, it's super trending right now, whatever you want to call it.
Yep,
but I mean,
totally.
at the end of the day, it's like, it's kind of just like another tool that we can use to connect to our bodies.
I think it's popular for a good reason. It's not just because it's trendy. It's probably because heaps of people are getting good benefit out of it, and it's real.
What's all those benefits? So you just
exactly
described.
And I guess, like we were talking about before, like linking this full circle, it's that kind of, we went through a huge thing as a society with COVID. That was a big thing for people to move through, and like a lot of people had a lot of different experiences through that, and people changed. Like a lot of people came out the other end of that completely different people. And this connection to wellness and this, I guess, increased interest in actually like doing real things and connecting to your body and kind of exploring that, I think is part of this.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, yeah, like experiences like that. I mean, they can sort of push you in, you know, or a couple of directions. You know, they further sort of more protected and sort of, you know, stay away from me, or more like just being open and kind of questioning and saying, hey, maybe this is an opportunity to make some improvements in my life.
Yeah.
Like, as opposed to maybe this is an opportunity to build a big fence around my life and stop stuff coming in. But yeah, that's the way I see.
So when you guys come
life.
to Wanaka next, you're going to have to
totally. I'm planning it in my head.
Yeah, so
well ahead of you.
I'll have a coffee here this morning, and then you guys can come and have a sauna.
Hey, well, here's the breakfast menu, and there's some smoothies and things like that. So take a wee look at that. There we are.
I mean, it's kind of chilly this morning, so it's just like, you know, a wee bit of a lock-in just getting up this morning.
Yeah.
I haven't got a heater in my bedroom, so it's like, oh man, it's hard to get up.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
It definitely does get like that when you get
yeah,
cold.
so it's a
like,
miniature
my
version.
bed is so warm. But yeah, thank you guys so much. It was like really, really cool to have a chat, and yeah, we covered some cool topics. So.
Yeah, thanks for coming
Thanks,
in.
Shay.
Thanks heaps for like, you know, how you helped Sammy Bags, the way you communicated with me, because, you know, when we first met each other, I, you know, didn't really know what way was up, and I really enjoyed our conversations and your honesty and stuff like that. It was really cool.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.